let's talk about why do bad things happen? Why do bad things happen to good people? Or if you're a Christian, why does God allow bad things to happen? Sometimes we need to have a different perspective on life and things in general that happen in life. Bad versus good. Not all the disciples or Christians always had just a good, perfect life. And I think if they did, no one would really looking up to them as a soldier. When a soldier goes through war and overcomes war and makes it through the battlefield and made it through, you've gone through all this suffering and you survived, So that is the key to all the suffering in the world, that even you go through hard times and trials and sufferings. I've had a couple things that I've experienced, bad things in my life. It's not as bad. I can compare, if I compare it to other people, like let's say I've never had a drug addiction, or I've never been homeless, or I've never had anyone murdered in my family, like there's always worse situations that you can go through. Like if you compare yourself to other people, maybe that's worse, we don't know what can be worse, or it all matters. It all depends on how you see it. Is it worse in your mind, right? When something bad happens, how bad is it? Is it affecting you mentally? And, I've had my share of just little bad things here and there, and I just want to say little because, I feel like it's smaller than other people, and that's why. So, but, at the time, especially when I'm younger, going through bad things, I feel like I'm not as mature and I'm not as experienced. So when I was younger, these things were worse for me. It was more dramatic. I remember when I was 12 years old and I got my period, and I was like, whoa, this is such a bad thing, this is a curse thing. And I hated it. I was like, oh my goodness, how am I gonna have this every single month of my whole life, like, oh my goodness, like it was just, that was like such a bad thing for me at age 12, and like losing, a baby in my womb was, very bad. But I'm grateful, that it was earlier on than later, right? So even though it was hard, and I think maybe that's like the number one thing, that when you lose someone in your life, whether it's your spouse, it's your kid, sometimes a lot of people blame God, but like, why God, why did you allow this to happen, and the truth is, it's part of life. It's part of life to, death is part of life. Yes. We don't always like it, we crave for eternal life. We kind of expect the good. But, when bad things happen, in a way, we can actually be more grateful for the good things that happen in our life. It kind of contrasts the good. And yeah, so we're living in this world where good and bad happen, where we don't have everything perfect. It's not a heavenly place where everything's good. So it's so important to accept that and see that's part of life, to experience bad things. It also can keep us humble. When bad things happen, we have to remember, it kind of reminds us that, we're human. We aren't God. We aren't all perfect. There's nothing that we should boast about, because bad things hit us just as much as people who don't believe in God. Maybe you might think, well, I'm a Christian, I believe that I'm going to be well. I believe that I'm not going to have to go through this. Maybe you keep praying for protection and, not wanting to go through certain things in life. And then if they do happen, getting mad at God. Well, why did you allow this to happen? I prayed for protection, I didn't want to go through this. Sometimes these things in life, like these bad things, whatever you're going through, maybe it's a loss of a loved one, a loss of a child in the womb, maybe a bad car accident, maybe a sickness like cancer, maybe a tornado and hit your house and you lost everything. Maybe it's something even smaller than that. Maybe it's something like you lost a job. Maybe it's something that you're going through a legal issue, a breakup, a divorce, rejection. It can be anything from big to small. These things can help us grow and become a stronger person and stronger mentally. And going through all these things and surviving through them, this is why I say, like, oh, I'm a survivor on this, when people go through the war, they're veterans. And why do people call them heroes? But if you haven't had anything bad in your life, only the good, what good is that in a way? You haven't experienced things that you can overcome, like obstacles in a Mario game, right? You're going through these obstacles, trying to make it through the next level. That's how life is. When you're playing that, it's like, this is how life is. You have to go through these obstacles, Do you give up, maybe? Sometimes in life you want to give up. You don't want to go through those hard times. You don't want to go through those hardships. You see that it's like, oh my goodness, this seems impossible, Or maybe you think, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it through. But these things make us stronger. Hardships, hard times, struggles in life. It can be a mental struggle. It could be a physical struggle. It could be a spiritual struggle. It could be a financial struggle. The number one thing just to focus on is getting through it and how you can learn from it and how you can grow. Asking God for help and guidance, of course. And not blaming God or complaining to God about your struggles, but by thinking, how can I overcome this? How can I learn and grow from this? How can I not be afraid of bad things happening? When we do face our fears, bad things, it's so important to come to God and give Him the glory and praise no matter what you're going through. Not asking or questioning God. And sometimes in life we might be in that situation, in that level right there where we're asking, why? Why, God? Why? But then when you're learning and growing, as you're getting more mature, spiritually, mentally, and physically, you realize, hey, this made me stronger. I don't question God anymore like I used to. So struggling can be a good thing and a blessing in a way. So you want to focus on how we can grow and getting closer to God, even in the bad times, in the bad things in life, and accepting that it's part of life. So be blessed.